welcome back to my channel. Oh, just welcome. My name is Yasa, and I moved from Saint Petersburg, Russia, to United States all by myself 9 years ago, almost 10 now. I thought I'm in such a unique position to discuss both the countries and maybe tell you something interesting about those countries and give you a new perspective, perhaps, so you can learn something and maybe become more tolerant and accepting. Those are such important words, I believe, especially in the modern world, tolerance and acceptance. I remember in my childhood, at my mom's job, they had those tolerance meetings and tolerance events. My mom is a theater director, so she had to direct and create scenarios for young adults and teenagers in a way to celebrate tolerance and somehow incorporate that idea in her shows and in her performances with them. And I remember thinking, oh, this is interesting word, tolerance, but isn't it kind of obvious? Tolerance. I mean, why would they make such a specific emphasis on that to create whole performances? Isn't it like a little bit feeling man-made? You know what I mean? Like, isn't a bit not authentic? Isn't it like a bit of a struggle to create a performance on the topic of tolerance? You know what I mean? Like, it's so unreal, not from a real life. You know, so weird. And now I understand, oh my goodness, how right they were. I wish we'd do more of those performances now, and we'd do more of those games and meetings and conferences on tolerance and acceptance, because that is exactly what the world needs and lacks so much at this moment. So, okay, this is our tolerance meeting. A little bit, 1 degree of tolerance at a time, at an episode. Okay, anyways, I heard that there is a belief in the United States that Russians miss USSR. So USSR collapsed 31 years ago. How I know it? I'm 31 years old, and it collapsed right after I was born. So that's how I remember it. I don't even have to memorize the dates. Or close to that. Okay, I'm not a historian. I'm a musician. So close to that. So I already grew up in Russia, and for me, all the countries were separate countries, not United States, of course, but Belarus, Ukraine, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, all the stans, Georgia, all the countries, Baltic countries, right? They were all separate countries, separate entities that I respect and love and would love to travel and see. With many of them, we share language. Ukraine, I know a lot of Ukrainians speak Russian. I know a lot of Belarusians speak Russian, and we have such a wide history. We share so much culture and history together, and we have so many friends there, and love going there. Love absolutely everything about those countries. But we are separate entities, and I never experienced being one country like USSR was, right? And I can understand that some Russians, of course, who grew up at that time, like my parents' generation and their parents, which already, slowly disappearing, right? It's mostly my parents who are alive now, and their parents already passed away, unfortunately. So my parents' generation, I understand that they do miss USSR, because how can you not miss being friends and being one country and one entity with many nations? I mean, it's such a great idea. Imagine that United States fell apart. So imagine all of a sudden North Dakota, South Carolina, and California are separate entities. Wouldn't you miss being one country, right? In some ways, wouldn't you miss sharing one language, and wouldn't you miss having those easy travels and no borders, right? Easy relationship in the way of traveling, transporting goods, and interacting, and just the mentality of sharing one identity. I think it's a great feeling and great idea. But it wasn't realistic. You couldn't keep up with a huge territory. Russia still is the biggest territory in the world, and at that time, I can't even imagine. USSR was such a huge collaboration, and they couldn't keep up, keeping everyone in priority, right? Probably the center, the Russia, was always a priority for the center, the Russia. So the lack of probably goods and just economical growth wasn't good enough for those other countries, and it was a decision made with such a struggle, and I'm sure it was the decision that is just heartbreaking for everyone involved, but I guess it was the right decision. You know what I mean? It was time for them to fend for themselves and to concentrate on the economy, and Russia just couldn't keep providing for everyone, and keeping the balance of everyone being equally economically developed and prosperous. So that was the decision that had to be made, unfortunately. Unfortunately, we could wish for many things, but the reality is the reality. So it was the decision that had to be made. And even though some of the people, of course, miss the unity and the same identity and the brotherhood that they shared with countries between themselves, it is a reality, and I'm sure people who know at least a little bit about the history understand that that was the choice that had to be made and a decision that had to be done. And as sad as it is, no one, or maybe not no one, but majority doesn't think that the USSR had to continue, because they understand the reality of it, that it wasn't good for everyone. And unfortunately, we had to go our separate ways. Now, I wish that we could still be friends, and I personally friends with them, with every nation of the USSR, and regardless of every nation of the world, but specifically all the nations that belong to USSR, because we share history, and our parents shared language, and our parents shared same mindset and same singers. Imagine it's like the same pop scene, right? They know all the songs, they sing the same songs in different countries. They share cuisines are different, but they do like to venture. For example, we adore Georgian cuisine. We like all those shashliki, it's like kebab, right? We like all those kebabs. We like all those grilled meats that they love, and spicy food that they do, and delicious vegetables, fresh, everything so flavorful. So we like trying all those cuisines of our neighbors right now. And I'm sure they love trying Russian cuisine. And what about interracial or inter-USSR or inter-neighborhood marriages, right? I know that a lot of Russian women were very much attracted to our Southerners brothers, right? Because they're dark, tall, and handsome. And my grandma was married to my granddad, who is from Kyrgyzia. Forgive my my lack of geographical knowledge. Kyrgyzia. I live for a long time now in US, and I'm forgetting a lot of things about Russia and USSR, which I wasn't even part of again. But Kyrgyzia. So it's a southern neighbor of Russia, and they met during the war. My grandma was a nurse, and granddad was defending Leningrad at that time, Saint Petersburg now. And she was the one who saved him. I believe she was looking after him and saved him. And after the war, they met. He found her, and they got married. And he moved to Saint Petersburg, and they lived in Saint Petersburg, where they had my mom. So this is more than just political collaboration, as you can see now. It's something that we my parents' generations grew up with, and same books they read, right? Same quotes they quoted from movies. Like here, we would quote something from the movies, and everyone would know what the reference is. The same goes for Soviet Union countries. They would watch the same movies, and movies at that time were very inspirational and very nostalgic to watch them now, because it portrays the Soviet Union and those countries as brotherhood and real feeling there. So regular people, just people, simple people like me, they were really happy to be belonging to such a big brotherhood, and really felt in a special way towards different races that were parts of USSR. You can feel it from the movies, really, you can. And of course, everyone thinks differently. So for some people it's not true, but it is true for me and my parents and a lot of people I know. So they do miss belonging to brotherhood, but in no way they want to have this unity back just to be the strongest power and conquer the world. Like this is not even in the mindset. It's not even in the roster. It's not even on the menu. All right, it was just what they miss. Probably some people miss different things, but from my understanding, they miss the brotherhood, that unity that they had. Anyways, enough. Every good thing must come to an end, like USSR. If it was a good thing for some people, and then it was for some people, it has to come to an end. So this episode had to come to an end. And if you can, please like and subscribe. And I hope to see you again soon. Hope it was interesting for you, at least a little bit. And happy pandemic, everyone. Bye. Пока.